Hello everyone, this is Ron Simplified Myers. I wanted to take a quick second and cover a topic about kids and life insurance, because I'm always getting that question on whether I should cover my kids or whether I should be buying life insurance. Even if you're maybe 20, 25 years old, the question is always, should I buy life insurance? Well, you have to go back to when I talked about in the previous video about the purpose of life insurance. It's based on risk. Is there anyone dependent on you financially? That's the question that you ask to determine on if you need life insurance or not. Because that is the purpose of it, is to take care of that risk so people will be able to move forward if something should happen to you. So that kind of answers the question, I think, as far as kids. You do want to make sure you have enough for burial purposes. And I would say the same thing for 18, 20-year-olds, 25s that are single, no dependents, nobody depending on them financially. I would recommend that they have something in place to cover their burial. I'm not talking about a burial plot because those things are very, very expensive. And for what you're putting out, you could probably, the same thing, because I've had people talk to me in the past about it. They were bragging about the burial plans, and that's a whole nother video. But for what a person is paying for it to have a plot, they could probably get 10, 20 times more life insurance and pay probably, I mean, it's ridiculous how much less they would actually pay, especially when you're talking about a young person. They could probably pay $10, $15, get $100,000 worth of insurance. Not saying that's what they need, because they don't. All you need, if you don't have the responsibilities, you just need enough for burial purposes. But depending on the company, there's a minimum as far as monthly premium they will accept. Let's say, and by that I'm saying they may tell you the minimum you can pay is $10 a month. If that's true, that $10 a month may buy you $60,000, $70,000 worth of life insurance as a young person that you don't really need, because you just need enough for burial. But I guess what I'm getting to is, it happened to me when I first got involved in the industry. I didn't need life insurance, but at the same time, I didn't want to put that burden on my family financially, because I know they didn't have the money if something should happen to me. So I took out enough to make sure that the burial was something they never would have to worry about. But for $15 a month, I was able to get $100,000 worth of life insurance. Now again, I wasn't concerned about that. I said, if something happens to me, they bury me, whatever they do with the rest, who really cares? My concern was that I didn't want to leave that burden on my family, because we see it all the time. You watch it on the news where people are scraping money together, doing car washes to pay for the death of a loved one, whether it's that 20, 25-year-old that I keep hearing people tell them, well, you don't need anything, don't even worry about it. Well, you just left a burden on your family, and if they're strapped financially, you've just hurt them. So you need to make sure there's something in place, or put enough cash aside to cover your burial, whatever the case may be. But that is a responsibility for you to make sure you don't leave that burden on your parents or on whoever it is that's going to have to take care of you if a death does occur. So the same thing with kids. You need to have enough for burial purposes. This is not something to get rich on. It's specifically to make sure if something happens to them, it doesn't hurt you financially. We had that happen to someone I know, actually in the business. He had a small program, maybe about $10,000 worth of protection. Because his child was in an accident, there was a lot of medical expenses incurred. That ate up the family savings, and the kid ended up passing away. Well, guess what? That $10,000 did not cover the expenses. So, and again, I'm not saying get a lot, because to me, the maximum I would even look at maybe getting on a child would be $25,000, and that's only if you feel like that's something that's needed. If your medical insurance doesn't cover certain illnesses or certain incidences, so that means looking at your health insurance. If those things aren't covered and they would hurt you financially and eat up your savings, you need to make sure that you have enough for burial and enough for medicals that may occur in that process if they're in a car accident or something like that. But anyway, I just want you to understand, it's not something that you get a lot of insurance on kids. That's not the purpose of it. Remember, it's based on risk. People depending on you financially, you're taking care of that risk. But at the same time, You don't want to hurt someone else financially by your death, especially if you have family that are strapped and they're trying to pay their own bills. And again, I see it every day, the car washes and that stuff. And it's really sad when you realize that a person could have done it for maybe $10 a month. They could have took care of that, and that burden would have never hit their family. And you have people that are financial planners or people that claim to be experts that are setting people up by telling them, you're young, you don't need it. And again, I think it's very bad advice. I think you need to make sure, especially if you're that 18, 25-year-old, get something small if you don't have the cash. And once you accumulate enough cash to cover your burial, drop it. I'm not telling you to keep it, but please do not leave that burden on your family by listening to people who claim to be experts, who are setting your family up at the same time by telling you you don't need it. But anyway, hopefully you got some information. That's a good tip. And you have a clear understanding of that. Oh, by the way, never ever, I can say it over and over, add a cash accumulation program to a policy that your kids have. If you have one of those programs, it's my recommendation you look at getting rid of it, because it is not in your best interest at all to ever have a program for your child that has any kind of cash accumulation in it. You need to buy pure insurance. That's why I was talking about before, where you can get the $10 and get a lot of coverage, because you're buying only insurance. Again, understand the purpose of it. Keep it real simple. You're covering burial, and that's it. Don't add a savings. Again, as I close here, like I've said, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just my opinion. And again, I disclose that because you have to take responsibility as an individual to gain the knowledge and make the decisions that are best for you and your family. This is Ron Simplified Meyer signing off, and I look forward to talking to you again on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.